Okay, let's unpack this. The way we all work, it's really undergoing a massive shift.
Massive is right. And it's far beyond just that traditional idea of automation we've talked about before.
Exactly. Artificial intelligence, AI, it's driving something much more fundamental, a real redefinition of work itself.
Yeah, the kind of widespread impact, maybe not seen since, like, the Industrial Revolution.
It feels that big. I mean, think about ChatGPT. It reached hundreds of millions of users incredibly fast. Faster than the early internet, even.
That speed is key. And now you've got AI, like GPT-4, passing professional exams, bar exams, medical licensing.
It's breathtaking progress, really. It almost feels like the main skill we all need now is just adaptability.
And you know, what's really fascinating is how the conversation has shifted. We've moved past just asking which jobs will disappear. That's too simple now.
Right.
We're now forced, really, to re-examine what work even means, its structure, its purpose, its value.
For us as individuals and for society, too.
Precisely.
And it's not hypothetical, is it? We're hearing influential voices, like on the Superhuman AI podcast or Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff.
They're saying it quite clearly.
Yeah, that this AI-driven economy isn't coming. It's here. It's taking shape right now.
It is the present reality.
So in this deep dive, our goal is really to get under the hood, understand what this actually means for you listening right now.
Okay, so if we map this out, today we'll navigate the shifting economic landscape, obviously. Then we'll dig into the human side skills, identity, purpose, definitely. Then the broader societal changes, governance, that's essential. And finally, we'll look at, future possibilities and how we might adapt.
All right, let's dive into that shifting landscape first. AI's index seems dual, doesn't it? Two-pronged.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
On one hand, yes, job displacement and transformation, big transformations.
We see it already. Routine tasks like customer service chatbots are everywhere now.
Banking, insurance, lots of automation there, fraud detection.
Transportation, autonomous vehicles are on the cusp, it feels like. Manufacturing, warehousing, robots.
And it's not just those areas. Even in, let's say, higher skilled jobs, the routine parts are being automated. Bits of programming, research tasks, paralegal work.
So the scale is significant. What are the projections saying?
Well, the World Economic Forum, the WEF, they projected quite large numbers for displacement and creation by 2025. Something like 75 million jobs displaced.
Wow.
But potentially 133 million new ones created.
That's a huge difference. A net positive, then.
Potentially. But it's complex. Remember back in 2014, a Pew Research study showed experts were really divided on whether tech would ultimately mean more jobs or fewer jobs overall.
Right. So the jury's still out, in a way.
And it highlights this churn effect. Rapid transitions, skills gaps opening up, geographical mismatches, transitional unemployment while people adapt. It's disruptive.
But it's not just jobs vanishing. That's the other side, the augmentation piece.
Exactly. Augmentation is huge. AI enhancing what humans can do, like in sales. AI doing the initial digging, the outreach maybe. Right, freeing up the human salesperson to focus on the relationship, the closing. Accenture estimated people could get back, up to 40% of their time?
40%. That's substantial.
It really is. And this leads to the WEF's more recent focus on human-machine partnerships.
Okay.
They distinguish between augmenting AI, the kind that helps with engagement, learning, creativity, that tends to boost employment. And then displacing AI, often perception-based tasks, which, that can reduce certain job roles more directly. It's not monolithic.
And then there's the creation of totally new roles, things we couldn't have imagined a decade ago.
Absolutely. AI ethicists, machine learning engineers, people who train AIs, data analysts focused on AI, managers specifically for human-machine teams.
This is growing.
It is. McKinsey projected maybe 20 to 50 million new jobs globally by 2030. And futurists like Thomas Frey go further, predicting entirely new industries by 2034.
Hard to even picture what those might be.
It really is. And it's fascinating to see this play out sector by sector. Customer service, chatbots displace, but AI tools also augment human agents, helping them find info faster.
Marketing.
Routine content creation gets automated? Sure. But AI also enables hyper-personalization in campaigns like never before.
Finance, healthcare, manufacturing.
Legal, transportation. Across the board, you see this mix. Displacement, augmentation, creation. All driven by specific AI tools for that field.
So this really signals the rise of a whole AI-driven economy.
Yep.
What does that actually look like? What are its defining features?
Well, think about concepts like digital labor, AI agents doing work. Mark Benioff at Salesforce talks very directly about this AI economy run by essentially digital workers.
Their Agentforce platform, right?
Exactly. It lets users build AI agents to handle pretty complex workflows. This starts to blur the lines of what a company even is. You could see much more fluid, liquid organizations.
Dynamic teams of people and AI agents assembling for projects.
Sort of, yeah. Potentially. And AI is also changing how companies reach customers in the first place. Go-to-market, sales.
Right. I remember hearing about this on the Future-Proofed Deep Dive. Big impacts there.
Huge. Automating research, outreach, personalization at a scale and sophistication that was impossible before.
Got any examples?
Sure. Juniper Networks saw big jumps in email open rates, lead conversions, using AI tools. Defendify estimated their content value shot up massively thanks to AI insights.
So it acts like a multiplier.
A marketing multiplier, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially for smaller businesses that don't have huge teams.
And it sounds like it's also maybe leveling the playing field a bit, making powerful tools more accessible.
That's a really important aspect. Aaron Levy from Box talks about this, how AI tools lower the barrier for individuals, for small businesses, to build really sophisticated stuff.
Democratizing capability.
Exactly. Which could lead to innovation coming from many more places. A more distributed landscape.
Okay, so all this change, it must be impacting the big economic numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Productivity, efficiency, growth.
The potential for productivity gains is massive. McKinsey estimated trillions in added value. PwC had big projections for the UK specifically.
Trillions.
Yeah. And even the St. Louis Fed noted in surveys that workers using generative AI are already saving time. Eric Brynjolfsson's work consistently points to this potential.
But we've heard about the productivity paradox before. It's not automatic, is it? Just plug in AI and boom.
No, definitely not. Brynjolfsson himself has talked a lot about why tech investment doesn't always immediately translate to productivity stats.
So what's the catch?
Organizational adaptation. Rafaela Sadun at Harvard stresses this. Companies need to fundamentally change how they work, their processes, their structures to really benefit.
Otherwise, the tech just sits there, not fully utilized.
Or worse, it creates friction. Sadun even suggests that AI-native companies, ones built around AI from the start, might have a built-in advantage.
Okay, so let's say we do get these big productivity gains overall. Who benefits? Is there a risk of, like, a productivity paradox 2.0?
Explain that.
Well, where the aggregate numbers look great, economy's booming.
Yeah.
But maybe most individuals aren't actually better off. Their well-being is stagnant or even declining.
That is a profoundly important question. The distribution of those gains is critical if it all flows to the top.
Then you get rising productivity, but also rising inequality.
Precisely. We could see that scenario. That democratization of capabilities offers some hope for broader benefits, but ensuring inclusive growth needs deliberate effort. It won't just happen.
Okay, so the economic picture is complex, dynamic. Let's shift to the human element, skills. What do people need to learn to navigate this?
Right, this is where it gets really personal for everyone listening. The whole skills landscape is being reshaped. Fundamentally.
What's in demand?
The WEF consistently points to tech, obviously AI, data analysis, cybersecurity, huge demand. They estimate a big chunk of workers will need significant reskilling soon.
How significant?
LinkedIn data suggests maybe 70% of skills could change by 2030 because of AI's influence. It's pervasive.
70%.
Yeah.
So lifelong learning isn't just a buzzword anymore, it's survival.
It's absolutely essential. A proactive mindset is key, and employers know it. The WEF found most employers plan to prioritize reskilling, especially for human-AI collaboration.
Is it all on the individual, though?
No, and it shouldn't be. Governments, organizations, they have a massive role in providing training, resources. Interestingly, AI itself is being used here.
How so?
AI tools can identify skill gaps in a workforce and help design personalized learning paths for employees.
And it sounds like just a basic grasp of AI is becoming table stakes for many jobs.
Exactly. AI literacy. Just understanding the basics, what it can do, what it can't, especially with tools like ChatGPT or Microsoft's Copilot becoming common.
We're seeing people actually adding that to their skill profiles.
Yeah, a big surge, especially in the EU. And related to that is data fluency, being comfortable working with and interpreting data. That's increasingly crucial.
But this constant pressure,
Yeah.
learn this, adapt to that,
Yeah.
it must take a toll psychologically, right?
Yeah.
Feeling like you're always playing catch up.
That's a huge point, and maybe an underestimated one. Research shows workers are feeling overwhelmed by the pace. It can lead to unease, stress, burnout.
So we need strategies that support well-being, not just skill acquisition.
Absolutely. The human cost of constant adaptation needs to be part of the equation.
Okay, so as AI handles more technical stuff, does that mean the uniquely human skills become more valuable?
That's the dominant thinking, yes. Skills like coaching, mentoring, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, building trust, these become premium.
Things AI can't easily replicate.
Right. Imagination, empathy, complex moral judgment. AI lacks context, cultural nuance, lived experience. Human designers, for example, bring insights AI just doesn't have.
But here's a potential paradox. Will our economic systems really value and reward these softer, harder to measure human skills as much as technical ones?
That is a critical question we need to grapple with. If we only measure the easily quantifiable, we risk undervaluing essential human contributions. We need to rethink how we measure value itself.
Could AI, paradoxically, help us focus more on those human skills by taking over the routine stuff?
That's the optimistic view, and arguably the strategic one, freeing up human bandwidth for more complex, creative, strategic work.
So managers become key in facilitating that human-AI collaboration effectively.
Absolutely. Guiding teams to use AI to amplify human strengths, not just replace tasks. It requires thoughtful leadership.
Let's dig into those psychological impacts more. How does AI affect our connection to our work, our engagement?
Well, research suggests it's a real double-edged sword.
How so?
On one side, AI can boost engagement by taking away tedious tasks, freeing up your mind for more interesting challenges. That's a resource gain.
Okay, makes sense.
But on the other side, if AI replaces tasks that were core to your role or feel meaningful, it can lead to alienation, a feeling of being de-skilled or devalued. That's resource depletion.
What about identity? Purpose. So much of that, for many people, is tied up in their job.
A huge area of potential change. If AI disrupts the traditional roles that provide structure, meaning, social connection, you could see a rise in what sociologist Durkheim called anomie.
A sense of normlessness, disconnection.
Exactly, a loss of purpose. But some thinkers frame this differently as an existential opportunity.
An opportunity. How?
An opportunity for us collectively to redefine where we find purpose, maybe decoupling it more from pure productivity, finding meaning in other life domains.
That's a fascinating reframe. And maybe, more simply, AI could just make work less of a grind.
That's the hope, isn't it? Use AI strategically to shorten work hours, improve the quality of work by ditching the unpleasant tasks, and focus more on well-being, on life satisfaction.
Shifting the focus from pure output to human flourishing.
That's the aspirational goal, yes.
Okay, let's widen the lens again. Society. How is the public feeling about all this? What's the sentiment out there?
It's definitely mixed, complex. You see both optimism about the potential, but also real apprehension, a lot of it driven by the sheer speed of change.
People feel overwhelmed.
Surveys in the US, the UK, they show that ambivalence. And maybe a trend towards growing wariness as AI becomes more capable, more integrated.
There's an interesting disconnect I've seen mentioned. People seem more worried about AI's impact on jobs in general than on their own job. Why is that?
Yeah, that's a consistent finding. It's partly that optimism bias, it won't happen to me, or maybe a personal relevance gap.
So you acknowledge the broad threat, but don't feel it personally.
Right. Intellectually, you see the potential disruption across the economy, but you think your specific role, your industry, is somehow safe.
And the danger there is complacency, slower societal response.
Potentially, yes. If people don't feel a direct, immediate threat, they might be less motivated to upskill proactively or push for policy changes. Making it feel relevant is key.
And underneath this is the persistent worry about inequality, AI widening the gap between the haves and have-nots.
A major concern among experts for years now, that AI could exacerbate existing income inequality. High-skilled workers who leverage AI might see big gains.
While others face displacement or wage pressure.
Exactly. The risk is that the economic benefits of AI aren't shared broadly, leading to more stratification.
This is where universal basic income, UBI, often comes up. What's the argument for it in an AI world?
Well, the idea is it could cushion the blow of job displacement and address inequality by providing a basic income floor for everyone, unconditionally.
Some big names in tech support this, right? Musk, Sam Altman.
They've suggested it might become necessary. Pilot programs, some analyzed by places like the London School of Economics, have looked at impacts on poverty, health, education.
But the results are still debated. especially on overall employment.
Right, the long-term effects are still under study and subject to a lot of debate.
There's also criticism of UPI advocacy, especially when it comes from the tech industry. What's a counter-argument?
Yeah, some critics argue it could be a way to make widespread AI adoption more palatable, maybe distracting from deeper issues of wealth concentration.
Like manage the social fallout without tackling the root causes of inequality.
That's the concern. Is it a genuine solution or more like a Band-Aid? Is it meant to empower people or just manage the disruption from technology? Different interpretations exist.
And alongside all this, the ethical questions loom larger and larger.
Yeah.
And the need for governance.
Absolutely unavoidable. We're facing complex ethical challenges, intellectual property for AI creations, bias baked into AI systems.
Fairness in AI decisions.
Right. And even the potential erosion of our own critical thinking if we become too reliant on AI.
People seem to want regulation, but do they trust anyone to do it?
That's the rub. Surveys show support for regulation, but often low trust in tech companies' self-regulation or the government's ability to keep up and regulate effectively.
It feels like a perfect storm. Fast tech, complex issues, low trust.
That's basically the governance trilemma. Speed, complexity, trust. Trying to solve for all three at once is incredibly difficult.
Which risks reactive policy, waiting for a crisis.
That's always a danger. Initiatives like the WEF's AI Governance Alliance are trying to bring diverse groups together to be more proactive. And effective skills policies are part of governance too. It needs everyone at the table.
Looking ahead then, it feels like the future isn't set in stone. Lots of potential scenarios floating around.
Definitely. Expert opinions are still really varied, just like they were back in that 2014 Pew study. And even recent surveys show experts are often more focused on potential problems than on guaranteed benefits.
So not just shiny techno-utopias. What kind of scenarios are being discussed? Any specific ones?
Well, you have frameworks like Doubter's Futures, the high-tech city advanced but maybe unequal with human redundancy.
Okay.
The feral city, more pessimistic, societal breakdown, decay.
Yeah.
Then maybe the most likely muddling through ongoing crises, partial tech fixes, local adaptations, people just coping.
That sounds plausible.
It often feels like the default. And then you have more tech-focused visions, like Thomas Frey predicting immersive VR, AI writing bestsellers, whole new industries in the next 10 years, things we can barely conceive of now.
It sounds like there's almost a battle of narratives about the future of AI.
Absolutely, a narrative arms race. Different groups push futures that align with their interests. It's crucial for you, the listener, to see these competing stories and analyze them critically.
Understand who benefits from which narrative.
Precisely. Are we heading for utopia, dystopia, or something messy in between? The stories we tell shape the future we build.
So, given all these possibilities, what are the practical strategic responses for individuals? For companies, for governments.
Okay, for individuals, embrace lifelong learning. Seriously. Cultivate those human-centric skills. Build basic AI literacy, and maybe, importantly, find meaning beyond just your job title.
Diversify your sense of purpose.
Yeah, for organizations. Invest heavily in upskilling your people. Redesign workflows for human-AI collaboration ethically. Foster innovation. Have a clear AI strategy.
And governments.
Policymakers.
They need national, even international AI strategies. Invest in education for the future. Set clear ethical guidelines and regulations, ones that can adapt. Consider new safety nets, maybe like UBI. Promote research and public discussion.
It sounds like a lot of coordinated effort is needed.
It is. But the key thing is, the future isn't predetermined. Our choices, our actions now, they will shape what comes next. Human agency matters.
So to kind of bring it all together, AI isn't just changing jobs. It's driving this really deep, multifaceted redefinition of work itself. It touches everything.
Economy, skills, psychology, society. Yeah, everything.
And it's not a one-off event, is it? It's ongoing.
Continuous. Think of it as co-evolution. Humans and AI evolving together in the workplace and beyond. As AI changes, we adapt, and our adaptations then influence AI's next steps. It's a dynamic dance.
It really makes you wonder, what is the purpose of work going to be? If AI handles more of the what and the how.
Does the why become more important? Exactly. Our sense of purpose, meaning, contribution. Maybe that becomes the central human element in the economy of the future.
Which leaves a really interesting, maybe provocative question for you to think about. In this new era, how do we even define, let alone measure, that purpose quotient when intelligent machines are doing more and more?
How do we value purpose in the age of AI?
That's the question. A fascinating one, and something we'll definitely be exploring more in future deep dives.